Since you spoke about focus, since you spoke about the distraction that the students have while we are shooting this, there's a bunch of first year students who are a part of it, who are a part of the recording team, and they all will remember that we organize a program called Diksha Ramp. So that's a program that has been mandated by UGC, and I don't know, some of them remember the speech which we normally gave. I had a bad throat that day also, but we also spoke about this distraction. We, since it was a Diksha Ram kind of a program, we try to make them relate to our heritage, our legacy. So we gave them an example of Guru Dronacharya Eklavya. This thumb, it was asked as a Guru Dakshina by the Guru Dronacharya. So we tell it and try to contextualize in today's time that even today this thumb is very, very important. So you keep on scrolling, that is the biggest habit you have. So you have to control it to become successful. Now coming to, I got to know today only that you belong to Jayanagar. So Bangalore being the Silicon Valley of this country, and I remember I learnt a interview of Mr. Narayan Murthy, the great Mr. Narayan Murthy who founded Infosys. So I learned that he belongs to Jayanagar. Now you are telling me you also belong to Jayanagar. Is there something in the air, water, soil of Jayanagar that creates entrepreneur, or it's just a coincidence?
No, I think no, there is definitely something in Bangalore. In general, I would say there's a lot in the ecosystem. I think what Narayan Murthy sir has built, I think he was one of the flag bearers, I would say, for software and technology company, right? I think when we started out back then, for us to look up to anybody was back then was Infosys, Narayan Murthy sir, what he was building as a company. We were all inspired. If Infosys came to a campus and hiring, or Infosys is doing like doing mega projects.
Used to be the dream company for absolutely everybody.
So that's where I think I also draw those inspirations from there itself. And I think that's a good anchor. And you see today so many companies like Flipkart came after that. In 2007, Flipkart started. Again, became a big success story in the Indian ecosystem, globally as well. These were I think they were two like a big inspirations. And we started out in Kormangla while I live in Jayanagar. I started out in Kormangla. There was something in Kormangla, I would say.
I believe Swiggy also started in Kormangla.
There is something in Bangalore, I would say. So there's definitely something.
So again, I'm going back to the script which I had to go through your profile, and I am trying to recall there was something related to New York Stock Exchange. You registered your first company there. So how is this journey from Bangalore to stock exchange outside the country?
So the company like Solution of Me was started straight out of college. Built that company, obviously started with college management system, moved to messaging and voice service. Over the years, over 10 years, we built this company, very single focused, bootstrap company. Bootstrap. So we never raised money. We never raised any, we never raised debt, nothing. One of the hard ways, because we could not raise money, or a lot of VCs rejected us as well back then. Given that the market was very small and all of that, and India went through like multiple changes in those 10-12 years. One is in 2013 we went through a regulatory change. Something happened, and cost of TRA regulation and the cost of the messaging system became expensive. And in 2017 digital demonetization happened. Digital adoption happened significant. One of the most positive change that happened. And then COVID. So I saw all these three sort of phases, and in some way that I would say I was very much in those times and phase I was building this company, and thanks to those waves it accelerated our growth. So my journey I built this company, me and Ashish both built this together, about 150 people. We were already clocking like $20 million in revenue company. And then I met this gentleman from Europe who came to India, visited us and said, I want to invest in India. I'm a big fan of our Prime Minister Modi sir, and he was very global. He was already a global leader back then because a lot of people were following him. And then he said, okay, you guys are young people. Their average age in the company, this guy was like 45 is the median, and ours was like 25. Huge gap, and he wanted to invest in a more high energy, high impact company. And he said, okay, why don't we do this together? So that company in India, which is a European company and Indian company, joined together with $40 million in revenue, 60 million and $20 million in revenue. Together in 2019 got listed at a New York Stock Exchange. So this was around just before COVID, 4 5 months before COVID. We got listed at the stock exchange. I was part of the leadership team. Ashish was also part of the technology leadership team. So yeah, both of us. So it was a journey. I think the common between all of this was that we were doing this for 12 years. Plus this gentleman who came India, whose name is Dario, he came to India and he said, "What are you guys thinking? Like, what's your future plan?" I said, "At some point we want to do IPO." And those days when we were talking about IPO, 2018-19, India was not a favorable market. Now it is a very favorable market. So back then it was not. So he said, "Why don't we do it together?" I think those collaborations really helped, and that's how I think we got listed at the New York Stock.
How big it was, how exciting it was. A company that started as a college project, or either which way it started, getting it listed at one of the largest economy.
I mean, it's the most joyous moment, I would say. I never imagined. Obviously, in when I started a company, when both of us, right, we were just thinking at some point we will do IPO. It was just like one of those, very vague vision that we had, and it turned into a reality, which was the most overjoyous. And I think a lot of people, like I keep hearing people saying, how many people in India have really gone listed in, very few people, handful of people in India have gone listed their company in New York Stock Exchange. I agree, but I think for me it was the most, I never imagined what it feels like, but only when I went through that phase and I was standing on that stage, it just felt really unreal, and being there, and so just the, I think it was just joyous moment to be there, and I think hard work paid off, focus and all of those things paid off.
Absolutely, absolutely. Two questions here. One is, you spoke about tri-regulation change, you spoke about COVID, you spoke about demonetization. So these must have brought some uncertainty, some challenges. So since we are creating this for the youth to look at it tomorrow, we hope that many of the youngsters will be looking at it. And uncertainty, failure, these are part and parcel of life. Today we talk a lot about the mental wellness, the stability, the capability to face the pressure, challenges, failure and everything. I would like, and I would request you to put across your perspective, how you dealt with this uncertainty, how difficult it was, and how important is it to keep your commitment focused, to keep yourself 100% committed whenever there's a failure, whenever there's an uncertainty. It's a part of life. Why the youth fails to face it with the conviction that they should, how easy or difficult it was for you, how many sleepless nights you have, if at all you had. So what was your experience, what was your journey?
So I'll give you I'll give you a little bit pre-context to the actual all of these events, right? I was in pre-university, which was 12th. I actually got flunked in one subject. So failure. So one is that I realized that seeing failure very early on in life helps you quickly bounce back. Your risk is very, very low. Failure can happen at multiple stages, right? And as you grow older, the risk becomes even more bigger. So glad that I got flunk in 12th, and what happened was that I was looking at BCom, BBM and these kind of courses, and when I flunked in 12th, I actually and that year what happened, pre-university introduced a scheme where I could write the exam in the next 2 months, otherwise you had to wait for a year. So I could write the 2 months and join back mainstream college, any college. So thanks to Jain College, because I was a Jain College student, I cleared the exam. Obviously that phase was very bad. I felt like you're in some form being loserish, not doing anything. Like everybody looked at you very differently. Family, parents, all of them, friends, I would say. But look, that time the risk was very low. I mean, you felt those moments, you went through that phase. Straight bounce back, and I happened to call Ashish one day post my clearing of my exam and said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm doing BCA." And me and him spent time together in our pre-university. And he said, "How?" I asked him, "Jen, how's the course?" And he said, "Yeah, it's a great course. Why don't you like?" And I was already I had spent significant of my childhood exposed to computers. So then I like, okay, I think BCA is my calling, and he just told it's a good course. I just ended up joining, and that's how I ended up creating college management system, starting a company. So if you look at, the failure has some path to it at some point. The failure will have some success to it. I think a lot of people miss that point. They think once I failed, I'll always fail, or they either overcomplicate it. They don't quickly move on in their journey. And I think those are the things that happened to me very quickly. I was able to move on from 12th to college. I got into college, back to my usual stuff, started participating in college extracurricular activities, whether it's organizing fest. I was doing, I remember in college, I was doing entrepreneurship week. There was a week, 2 weeks, you have to celebrate entrepreneurship. Like, people have to start something and demonstrate. So very early on, got exposed to all of that. And, you learn there quickly, you fail quickly, you experiment faster. All of those happened there. And that exposure sort of learning helped me. And I think I think everybody goes through those failures. People don't talk about it. People will talk about it. But when you go through as an individual, as a student, I think you should be able to move on too quickly, is important, and then focus on what path you are on a long term. The problem is that failure when you start thinking of short term, and then it creates complicated.
So one key takeaways is failure is inevitable. You will fail. You have to learn how to cope up with it. Give yourself some time, give yourself some space, and things will go well. You'll again be able to join the mainstream. The second thing is, normally I come across you. You told about the entrepreneurship weeks in those times, some 15 years back. Coincidentally, next week we are starting again the entrepreneurship week. The entire week will be given. We'll be having pitch days. We'll be having makeathon, hackathon, all those things. So that is still a part, very much a part of the university college ecosystem. A new trend, which is a very recent trend, people want to become rich very quickly. So what is my experience, I'll tell you. Nowadays, students from first year to final year, they come across and they tell me, sir, I have a wonderful idea, and this will be a multi-million dollar project, venture, this, that, and please give me a team of 2 3 people who can develop this. And I normally end up telling them that if it is your idea, everybody has an idea. A person standing on a roadside may have better idea than all of us put together. So idea, they say an idea can change your life, but I think an idea is not enough. If that idea does not give you some sleepless nights, if you have learned, you're a student who belong to IT. I'm surrounded by people who belong to IT. So if that idea does not give you a kick, that you give yourself 2 months of time, learn a skill. Today you have all the online platforms available. We have Coursera, we have YouTube, we have Udemy, we have LinkedIn Learning, we have everything. You have all the books, you have teachers, mentors. Why are you in so much of hurry that you cannot give yourself 2 months or a 3 months of time wherein you learn a technology? Even if you're thinking of developing an app, learn front end, learn back end, learn how to code things, and then come up with a venture. At this juncture, when you just have a thought, you just have an idea, if you think that this will make you rich, I think it's a wrong approach, but I like to understand your opinion.
It is. I think it is a wrong approach, and I think a lot of them are highly and heavily influenced by what they see on platforms, social media platforms. A large part of that ecosystem, because they suddenly see somebody's become superhero or an influencer there and making a lot of money, but underneath you don't know the hard reality, right? What it takes to work hard and all of that. So. I have a very different thought process here. Idea is not everything. Actually, execution is the right. And I can tell you that look, as an entrepreneur, I also think of thousands of ideas, and I also want to not make millions of dollars but billions of dollars, right? Uh, but it's all about executing. It's all about what you know. It's also about relating where what's your what strengths do you have, what domain you know the best, what skills you know the best. Thankfully, I was able to apply my computer skill, my college BCA skills in my entrepreneurship journey. A lot of them does not. They're people who have studied science, and they're doing some other business side of things. Somebody who studied science and but has no relation to what he studied. So a lot of that trajectory has changed for students across in the history. I think students lack getting the right data set. A lot of people, I can tell you, billions and billions of people think about the idea. I also think about 10,000 ideas personally, but only I know that what I can do, what as a human being, what's my limit. I mean, I have certain restrictions, and I know I can only do like build my company. That's my only primary focus. So just focus on what you are good at. Build on your strengths. I think these are some simple things, but I think this is what we have been, at least I have been doing for like 15 years now.